I'll just take a power nap, BRB. Alright, so today it's Foundation Friday. This is where I test out a new foundation every single Friday on my channel, or any kind of base related videos. So this one seemed fitting for Foundation Friday. Tati Beauty, obviously we have all heard, came out with Blendiful, which is the new applicator here. So you are supposed to be able to use this for every step of your base, liquid foundation, concealer, powder, everything, blush, bronzer, highlight. So that's what I did today, but I actually did half my face using the Blendiful and then half my face using another comparable product. I put that in quotes because don't roast me on a stick over an open fire in the comments, okay? You guys chose this product. I asked you on Twitter what product you wanted to see me compare it to on the other half of my face, and this one was the winner. It's not 100% made to do the exact same thing. Like, this one is intended for powder products, but I will get more into that in the video when we actually test it out. And I'm going to go over the differences, the price points, how everything works, what I think of the two, if they're comparable. So I was not sent this. I bought this with my own money, if that matters to you at all. So if you're excited for this video and you enjoy while you're watching, you can give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you're new here and you want to chill more and hang out, we can do that. You can subscribe. All right, I look like a hard-boiled egg since you can't see my bun, but it is here. So I am as zoomed in as possible so you guys can really see my skin and see how this thing does. If you're new here, I don't use any filters on my videos. I try and make the lighting as accurate as possible so you can really see what I'm seeing and we can see how products actually work and sit on the skin. So I've got my Blendiful here that I ordered. I also have the Power Pocket Puff. That's a tongue twister from Beauty Blender. A lot of you guys on Twitter, when I asked, said that you did want to see half face compared to something else just so you could see like a difference. And it seemed like on Twitter, this Beauty Blender one won as far as which puff you wanted to see. Laura Mercier makes one. I know Tati, before she came out with the Blendiful, used a different brand. So this seems to be kind of the closest. I don't think there's anything exactly like this, which is probably why she created it, you know? The big difference is that this one is intended to be for powder only, and this you're supposed to be able to use for anything. So liquid foundation, powders, that's kind of the cool thing with this, is that it's kind of like an all-in-one base tool. Okay, the more I'm looking at myself in the monitor, the more I'm wishing my bun was in frame. Actually, should we go down a little bit? Oh, wow, there we go. So this is specifically supposed to be for powder. I might try and use part of this for liquid and just see what happens. If this is just a total disaster with liquid, then of course I'll just use this for my full face. But I don't know. Personally, I feel like it's kind of more helpful to see a comparison just so you can see what it might not look like. This one is $15, so a bit more affordable, but you only get one sponge. In the Blendiful, you get two. And again, that one's intended to be for everything. And this one retails for $18. So let's open up the Blendiful for the first time. On the back, it says no harsh lines. I did watch Tati's video. I also watched a couple other videos. Feeling ready for this experience. Very soft. Wow, I just want to like sleep with this. Oh, it feels like it could be like a velvet pillow. I'll just take a power nap, BRB. So you get two little puffs in here. This one is supposed to be like a touch-up puff that if you have oily skin, you could use this throughout the day. My skin is more on the dry side, so I don't touch up throughout the day ever. So maybe I can use this for something else, but let's see if the materials look a little bit different. So here's a close-up of the materials. They're definitely different. This gray one is a little bit longer, and these ones have shorter, and this one also feels a little bit harder. It's not like firm, but this one definitely feels squishier and like it's more flexible. I like that this has like a little strap, so you're strapped in, ready for some action. So powder puffs have definitely been around for years, like before makeup sponges and stuff were popular, like Beauty Blender came around. Makeup puffs have been used by makeup artists for a long time. So it's not like this is like a brand new concept or anything. I think she's just trying to create one that is the best. Okay, so this one is also very soft, but it feels different. Both feel velvety. This one definitely has shorter fibers. This is so neon that it's like not even showing up on camera, but just so you can maybe see. Oh, this one has a little finger slip. That's cool. So you can definitely see the difference there. See how this one, just touching it, you can see the length versus this one, like nothing happens. Both obviously have a similar shape. This one is just much smaller. This one she said is meant to be big so that you can use different areas for different things and you still have enough real estate here. This one is obviously going to be harder for me to use like a part of it for liquid foundation than the other part for powders just because of the size. So we're going to start out with my Holy Grail pore reducing primer. She said this is really good for using with pore filling primers. This is the best one I've ever found. It is just amazing. So I need to think about which side I'm going to use for what here. I definitely want to use the pointier side for powders. I'm kind of scared for using the same product for liquid and powder because I don't want to have any overlap of the products. So let's just do primer like on the side right here maybe. I don't know if I should squirt it on here or put it on my face like with my finger and then blend it in. I don't think it really matters that much. It's a primer. Wow, I just got way too much. Okay, I have it on my finger. I'm just gonna dab it on my skin. And then let's use that side of the Blendiful to blend in the primer. So I guess my right side is going to be Blendiful and my left side will be Beauty Blender. I don't like using this primer all over my face, by the way. I just like using it on my pores. Okay, I can feel it on my skin. I don't know if it looks any different than it normally does. Feels very soft on the face though. Feels like feels like you're rubbing a blanket on your face. Okay, then let's use the Beauty Blender. This one is heavy actually. What the heck? This one's really heavy compared to the other one. This one's nice because it has a little elastic thing. I feel like that could be a nice upgrade because this is just like a ribbon. So I'm going to use the bottom for the liquids. I feel like that one kind of like spread more or something. Looks totally fine. Before we do foundation, just to add some glow to my face, I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Hangover 3-in-1 spray. Okay, so while that's finishing drying down, I was really careful with the products I chose for this video because I wanted to do products that I know how they look normally and that are fuller coverage so that we can really see if there's any kind of difference. So I'm going to use the Pacifica A Light Clean Foundation. I've talked about this a lot. It's in the shade 38NF. Right? Yeah, wow, I got that right. It's from the drugstore. You can get it on Ulta. It's full coverage and it's dewy. So this is very full coverage. So if it's not full coverage applied with either of these, we'll be able to see that there's a difference. So when I'm filming this video, she hasn't uploaded her tutorial that she said was coming on how to like exactly use this. So I'm just going off of her like initial video. So I don't know if you're technically supposed to like put it directly on here or on your face. I think it's probably fine either way. I'm going to use the bottom section for liquid foundation. So it is on there. Yep, my face is dried down now. Okay, I'm so curious. It feels weird like swiping because I feel like normally I use this kind of motion with any kind of product, like with my sponge, with my brush, I always stipple. A little bit of this foundation does go a long way. So you can see like stroke marks. So I feel like I do need to kind of pat it in. So I feel like this is taking a bit longer than a brush normally takes me to work it into my skin, just because you kind of really have to press it in. Pressing is the name of the game. Good around the nose. Okay, it does look good. I was a little worried for a second because it was looking like I could see the strokes from the Blendiful like on my face. I think once you really press it in, you're good. I think I usually get a little bit better coverage with this one because I still can see some scarring coming through, and usually with this foundation, it is like opaque full coverage. So I think with the brush, I would get, whoa, that was a really sharp S. Sorry for anyone using headphones. What was I saying? Distracted myself. I think I might get a little bit better coverage with the brush. My upper lip is looking a little bit like cakey and heavy. Blend that, press it in a bit more. So I'm going to use just a tiny bit since we're only doing half. And this is, like I said, full coverage. So I'm going to just press it in off the bat instead of swiping up here. See if that's any different. Doesn't look like there's a lot getting absorbed into there. That looks good on my forehead. I think patting is the way to go. I don't think you want to like swipe because you'll get those stroke kind of marks. Just dipped in a tiny bit. I'm just gonna see if I can pat. Maybe it was just because I swiped the first time. So let's just pat over just that spot, see if I can get full coverage. Okay, seemed to build fine with that. This is so heavy. Every time I pick this up compared to this one, this is like, feels like a feather. This thing is, wow, has some weight to it. So this one does have the little slip here, which I actually really like that. But since I'm going to be using the other side, this side for foundation, I'm just gonna flip that and hold it. If this doesn't work at all, since it's intended for powder only, I'm just gonna switch to either brush so we can see the difference or back to the Blendiful. This is just for fun. I'm just curious. It's mostly to test this with powder. Same amount. Okay, so let's go. I don't know if I now should swipe or pat because I discovered patting is the way to go on the other side. Okay, this shape around my nose definitely feels a little bit more awkward just because it's not as bendable and it's smaller. Ooh, yeah, it's like hard to blend in that area compared to the other side. The coverage on this side, and this is actually where I have more scarring, seems a little bit better. I still don't think it's as much coverage as when I use this foundation with a brush. Like, you can't see any of this when I use the foundation with a brush. But compared to the Blendiful, and for not being made to work with liquid foundation, I mean, it's blending out. So if you have this and you've never tried it with liquid foundation and you're just curious, I mean, you can totally do it. It's not as ideal of a shape. It definitely looks like cakey around my nose just because I can't fully blend it right there. This one looks like you can see the product still like sitting in there. I do think it absorbed a bit more liquid foundation. I'm going to go back in with the Blendiful to work on around my nose. Yeah, it is much more bendable and I like that it's like flexible and just easy to move around. Okay, definitely noticing a difference on my forehead. That spread way less. Like that amount should have covered my whole side right there. And it is, I'm just definitely getting less coverage. Like it soaked up a lot more than the Blendiful on my forehead, it seems. That is kind of my problem area right here. And my crease lines around my mouth. And usually when I use a sponge and go over right here, that really helps. Like I do that every single day. It really helps when I use a sponge because it kind of just presses everything in. It makes it look more plump and like dewy right there rather than cakey. So for concealer, I wanted to use this one because I mentioned it to you guys in the e.l.f. video I did recently. This is their new e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I've worn this about 6 times now, so I do know what I think of this and I know what kind of coverage and stuff it has, so I wanted to use it today so you guys could see since I didn't include it in that video. But basically, my review on this is that it reminds me almost exactly of the Revolution Conceal and Hydrate. I get about the same kind of coverage, which is full coverage. Gives a really similar, just like hydrated kind of look and has a really similar feel as far as the formula. I'm using the shade Fair Beige. I'm going to use just the other point right here, kind of just bend it that way. I'm going to apply one eye at a time just so the concealer doesn't dry down too quickly. So let's first do the Blendiful side. I'm definitely going to tap for the concealer. So typically sponges don't work for my concealer. I get much less coverage than when I use a brush, and also my under eyes are very, very finicky. Like I have to use certain kinds of brushes. Like I only have 2 brushes I've ever discovered that work for my under eye concealer. Okay, this is looking good. I feel like the concealer is going way further than normal and is staying full coverage. Bring it on top of my lid. From the look of this, it doesn't look like that much product gets absorbed into here, and I definitely can notice that on my face because the coverage stays, in the concealer at least, on my face for the most part. And that looks good. I like that with the concealer a lot. Blended out like very seamlessly and I didn't lose the coverage. Looks pretty good. I feel like I can see the fabric marks a little bit more, which is almost like emphasizing my pores. I mean, this one was definitely harder to use just because of the shape of this, and it is harder and heavier. But as far as the finished result, it looks, I would say, about the same. Okay, now here's where we're really going to test these guys with the powder. So my favorite under eye powder lately has been the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. Usually I can't use translucent powders on my under eyes, but this one has been really helping with the creasing. Sometimes, depending on my like foundation shade and the concealer shade, it does darken my eyes, but sometimes it makes it look brighter. So I haven't quite figured out what the trigger is there. Sometimes I get that really nice bright effect, and then sometimes I need to like go over it with the brightening powder just right towards my inner corner to brighten everything up. So hopefully it stays nice and bright today. Okay, so now I'm going to use the tip to apply all of the powders. Wow, picked up a lot of that. Okay. I should say, I have tried to use this e.l.f. sponge with the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, like pressing it in before just the dry sponge, and it looked not good. So I'm curious how pressing in the powder with this is gonna look. So right now that definitely looks brightening. We'll see if it darkens at all. Sometimes that happens too, like as it dries. That looks good. I like that. Looks very soft. Okay. Wow. Well, let us try this guy now on the other side. Here it is. So this is what this is made to do. I'm trying to use like similar motions. Okay, maybe I just got more powder on this side, but definitely like sitting on top of my skin a bit more, or it absorbed less powder. Either one. Like I feel like with this one, I still need to use a brush to kind of like fluff away the excess now, because using this, whew, there's still a lot of powder flying out of here. Let me try and do the same thing with this one. Yeah, this one, so I think this one just pressed it into my skin better because it's not flying out of here. I don't know if you guys can, yeah, you can see that against my hair. Still flying out, still flying out. Okay, just inhaled a lot of Laura there. So I definitely prefer the Blendiful for that. So I'm gonna just finish that off and press it in. Hope that I get a similar kind of effect as the other side. Now my eyes are bright red because I just had a total cough fest from all the powder floating in the room. But just to try and make this eye even to this eye as far as brightness, I'm just gonna add a touch more powder using the Blendiful to see if we can brighten it up a little bit. So as far as powder, the winner was definitely this guy. For an all over face powder, I wanted to test a powder that I know I really like. This is a loose powder, but it has a lot of coverage. So again, I want to see if there's any kind of difference in coverage applying this. I usually use the shade 05, but I think I'm going to try 010 today. Sometimes 05 can look a little bit light. Maybe I'll mix the two. That would be a fun experiment. Not today. Too many experiments happening already. So let's do the Blendiful side. I'm gonna add a bit more. My upper lip is looking hella cakey right now, so I'm gonna just avoid that area with powder for today. Did I not fully blend that on this side? My nose is like missing coverage. Did I just rub it off? What's happening there? Let me try and just blend that out. Okay, I can't like get my nose fully blended right there. I'm trying to use the tip and like cover it with the powder. Yeah, my nose isn't looking too hot. I had an area right there where I couldn't get like right into the crease. The powder down here seemed to apply fine. Again, I feel like I got a little bit less coverage than I would with a brush, especially using this with that powder. Normally you would not be able to see anything coming through. So I rarely powder my entire forehead. So if I powder, it's just right here, like on the perimeter, so I can easily blend bronzer and stuff. So that's what we're gonna do today, since that's my go-to. Just because I have drier skin, and you don't need to powder your entire face. You just don't. Watch my latest foundation question answer video, and I explain that more. Okay, looks good. Ooh, I get to use the finger slip now. Did I use that when I did my under eyes? I can't remember. There's definitely more powder flying up again. Could still be the translucent powder coming off of there. Again, less coverage than I get with a brush. Both sides, I would say the finish looks about the same. I'm like not seeing any major difference. You can see the texture a bit more with this one. There you go, right there. Do you see that? So that is the texture from the applicator. Whereas this side, I don't see that. So my mascara is drying right now, but I just did my eyes. I forgot how much I friggin' love these lashes. They're the Ardell Dummy Wispies Studio Effects. That's the key, Studio Effects. They're perfect. They're so pretty. And they're super light too on the eyes. I always have one eye that lashes look like slightly different on. For eyeshadow, I use the Maybelline Nudes of New York. Love this. Did a whole video using it. And then the L'Oreal Brilliant Eyes. This is new from them, I'm pretty sure. This is in the shade Crown Gold. That's what's on my inner corner. It definitely like looks more mustard yellow than gold to me, but super pretty. Now we're going to test this out for, the word just escaped my mind, bronzer, blush and highlight. I'm gonna use my Maybelline City Bronzer, and I'm gonna use the powder side again. So my face is fully powdered, so it shouldn't like drag or anything. And I'm excited to see how this does with bronzer. Normally I wouldn't use a sponge for bronzer, so this is something like totally different. I'm just like lightly swiping. Now I'm gonna tap. Okay, that looks nice. I like that you can kind of create a clean line there. Like if you're someone who likes to bake underneath your bronzer or contour, you can almost just get the line using this. And then if you drag upward, like Tati said in her video, she said kind of like push upward. This isn't like a contour shade, it's kind of more of like an all over warmth kind of shade. So I'm gonna bring that up to my temples as well. Okay, I think I got a little bit much right there. Yeah, I just got a lot of product right there. I feel like I need to kind of like go back over with the powder. So normally with the brush, I'll go into bronzer and then I'll go back over with powder and kind of like tone it down if I need to. So I'm gonna use actually just a different powder. I've been really liking this one. Just because this is pressed, you can use this with pressed or loose powders. It's Urban Decay new one. I'm just gonna go just on the edges just to tone it down right there because it's a little intense. I feel like this does pick up more powder product, so like just using it with blush and bronzer, I'll probably have to do less of a swipe now that I know that. The more I use this, the more I'll get used to like the amount of pressure and product and stuff that you need to use. Got about the same amount here. Doing the same thing where I kind of like swiped it on first and now I'm trying to blend it up. This one definitely seems to be a little bit more difficult to blend. Trying to get a thumbnail right now and I can't figure out which hand is which by looking in the viewfinder. That one works. I think I just need more product. It doesn't look as seamless to me as this side. That one kind of like diffused it a little bit nicer. This one seems more concentrated in one spot even after like swiping it and trying to blend it upward. It seems like it just kind of just stuck a little bit more right where I put it down. Up here, and using the same amount of product. Okay, that one definitely applied it like overall a little bit lighter. Yeah, I like this side better with the bronzer for sure. Maybe I should just go over it with powder just so we're exactly testing it the same, you know? So I'm just gonna add a bit right here. Now I'm getting that thing where you can see like the powder mark. I have been obsessed with the blush in this palette. The highlight's also super pretty. The bronzer shade looks orange on me, but this blush in the Physicians Formula palette, it's the shade Beachy Peach. It is so pretty, and I feel like the formula of this blush will hopefully apply nicely with these because it's not creamy, but it's like a little bit creamy. So I'm just gonna try a different side. I'm just gonna use like the middle since I haven't touched anywhere else yet. So I have a feeling blush I'm gonna need even less since that went really far with the bronzer. I'm gonna start out with this tiny amount and try and work it on my cheeks and see. One of the cool things, if this works for everything, which so far it is, as far as the base, is that if you were traveling, you could kind of have like an all-in-one tool where you wouldn't need to bring a whole bag of brushes. Normally I have a separate makeup bag just for my brushes that takes up room, obviously. I think I would still feel like I need to bring a foundation brush or a sponge, but we'll get into that at the end of the video. But this could eliminate, theoretically, if you like it for everything, it could eliminate a few brushes if you're traveling. That looks pretty. Looks like just a nice light wash of blush. I don't want anything too crazy. Since it's pink, it's hard to see how much product I get for this one. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. It's hard to blend out the edges with this one. I like that I do feel like I have enough room. Like I definitely don't have a whole lot more room left on this thing versus this. I still have blank areas where I can use it to blend without product on it. For highlight, I'm gonna use ColourPop Your Catch. I have tried this a few times. It's really pretty. It does have a bit of glitter in it, but it's a beautiful highlight. And the reason why I want to try it with this is because it's one of those highlighters that works much better in like a pressing motion if you use your fingers versus using it with a brush. So I think like pressing it on with this will hopefully look really nice. I feel like I need to use the tip for highlight just to get that like fine point. So I'm just gonna like really squeeze this down. This ribbon thing kind of annoys me. I feel like I haven't used it a whole lot. It kind of just like sticks up. Like even when you're holding it like that, it's not really holding anything in versus the elastic. It would be like against your hand. Ooh, I haven't taken this one off. So I'm going to, ooh, what angle do I want to do? Let's do this angle. Okay, I feel like it's only putting down like the glitter. I can see it on there still. Doesn't want to seem to fully come off. I'm gonna try and add a bit more. So it's on there. See the reflect right there. Okay. Showing up more. I don't feel like that looks better than when I use my finger with this one. A lot of it is just sticking to here, but maybe that's just the formula of this. Oh, okay. So do you see how that one definitely looks more intense? Like you can see more of the product rather than just the glitter. This one definitely looks stripier. I'm trying to not like blend away the coverage underneath. Can't tell if my foundation's rubbing off with this one right there or what's happening. It looks like darker right there. Okay, let's try to go a little bit higher. It's hard because I can't really see where I'm like applying it. That definitely looks more boom. Like that's what it normally looks like versus this side I'm getting, it definitely looks more textured and you don't see like the same kind of wow pop, you know? Between both of these, I would rather use my fingers, but if it was one or the other, I would rather use the Beauty Blender Puff for highlight. I think it just applied it much better. So I'm gonna use the Beauty Blender one to do my Cupid's bow. I'm gonna put on Iconic Nude from Charlotte Tilbury. Then let's add Bare Minerals Peony. What is happening with this lipstick? This isn't that old. What the heck? This used to be like a light nude and it looks like straight up yellow brown puke. What the heck? That looks green. What happened to you? Who do I need to fight? Okay, poor Peony. Maybe instead let's try JK Magic from Charlotte Tilbury. There's a video coming with some Charlotte Tilbury products that I think is coming after this video, so just know I haven't tried these when you see that video. Oh, that looks kind of pink. Let's do the go-to move and use Alamar Cosmetics Chula for a lip gloss. This always seems to work somehow. Okay, so my makeup is complete using Tati Beauty on this side and Beauty Blender on this side. Let me know what you guys think down below. Few standout things to note. This one definitely applied highlighter much better. At least that formula, maybe a powder formula would be different. This one excelled in the bronzer. I feel like the bronzer looks really pretty. I would totally use this again for bronzer. As far as liquid foundation, I think this is definitely doable for that if you have it. I don't think it's like incredible. I don't think either of them are incredible for liquid foundation, just for what I look for. And I feel like it took a little bit longer to blend out and I got less coverage than if I just used a brush. Maybe I would like using a brush and then going over it with this because that's typically how I use a makeup sponge. I think the things I really like this for are blush, bronzer, and under eye powder. Liquid concealer, forgot to mention I also really like this with. So I think for liquid concealer, under eye powder, blush, and bronzer, I really liked it. And then again, maybe like for liquid foundation, just going over and pressing it in more. But those are the things that I really like it for. Do I think it's worth it for just those few things? If it makes my under eyes look better, then yeah. I mean, it applied the powder pretty dang well underneath my eyes. I like how just bendy and lightweight this one is. If I was gonna recommend one that you try, I think this one works better for more things. Like you can get more use out of this for different things. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below if you've tried either of these. I feel like this is gonna be a super long video, so if you are watching until this point, you rock. Comment the word banana. Inspired by my shirt. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you do, you can give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.